Hollyland recently sent me their Solidcom C1 Pro wireless headset system, and I've been using it over the last few months on professional gigs, and I was interested to see whether it would revolutionize, increase the efficiency of my workflow and my communication with the people I work with. So that's what this video is going to look at. At its core, it's a wireless headset system. Unlike traditional radio systems, I guess it works in sort of Wi-Fi frequency, so it doesn't need to be tethered to a radio. The trade-off with that is that it probably does reduce its range, but in most normal shooting circumstances, if you are close by with your crew, then this is going to be more than enough to work for you. The most important thing is that they're just really simple and easy to use. There's no faffing around, scanning for frequencies or anything like that. All you do is you power them up and they seamlessly connect. Now you have a master headset, which I guess serves as a sort of like the base station almost, and to which the other headsets connect to. You can have two channels running at the same time, an A and a B, and you can swap between those on headsets, which is really cool. If you need two separate comms channels, maybe you've got your production team and then a couple of people on the client side, but you don't want them to be looped into each other and they have separate conversations, then you can use those two different channels to manage that. They also take a little battery, looks like the size of something that they use in GoPros. These can sort of run for pretty much most of the day, anywhere between 5 to 8 hours, depending on how you use them. Each headset came with a spare battery, which is really cool. I've got a tiny P head and the headsets fit me fine. They also fit some of my larger brained colleagues, so there was no problems in terms of adapting them to different head sizes. On the back of the speaker side, you have all the physical buttons and controls. There's volume control, then there's channel selection, A and B, and then also in the middle, there's the mute button. And the mute button can kind of be used in a few ways. You can keep all the headsets on mute by default and then just use the mute button to transmit when you want to speak and then let go and it will return the headsets to mute. Honestly, I found that this was one of the better ways to use the headsets so that we were minimizing crosstalk. And then if anyone else was having a conversation nearby, it wasn't transmitting through the headsets. One of the standout features of these headsets is, of course, the electronic noise cancelling ENC system that is built into each of the headsets. This works stupidly well. They've obviously put some sort of magic into the system. I was just really surprised at how clearly voices cut through and how little of the environmental noise was transmitted through the headset. So if you do work in events or in noisy environments, or if you're working outside, then these are going to be a bit of a game changer. These are going to be a bit of a lifesaver. I was just very impressed by the quality of the voice isolation and just how crystal clear it came through. Even with loud music blaring whilst the person was talking, you could hear them perfectly well. It really does a good job of isolating those vocal frequencies. So I've used these on a few professional shoots now. Unfortunately, don't always get the opportunity to shoot a lot of behind the scenes stuff when we're working. We don't always get permission or we don't always have time. Generally, my thoughts on these, using them in a professional environment, was that after a bit of a learning curve, they were fantastic and they really sort of helped streamline our workflow on these crazy busy shoot days. So I tend to work as what I describe myself as a shooting director, so I camera op and direct at the same time. I usually work in a team of 3, so I tend to have a second camera operator and a camera assistant on the shoot days that I do. There needs to be some discipline in wearing them, so we either ran them on mute and then just transmitted when we needed to, because we often found that if someone kept their mic open, they might start talking to a client or someone else on the shoot, and then suddenly it would start transmitting their conversation to everyone else, which wasn't great. Alternatively, what we found is if that was happening, you could just then position the microphone away from the face, and that tends to sort of isolate and cut the sound and wouldn't have that conversation transmit into other people's headsets. It's also important to make sure that people don't take their headsets off, or if they do, that they announce that they're going to, telling people that they're going off comms. Because when we first started using them, we had instances where people would take them off, they would go to the toilet and they wouldn't tell people, and there'd be someone else on the comms trying to reach them and not wondering where they were, and then they'd have to sort of stop what they were doing and go and find them, and then the whole system kind of becomes pointless. So keeping people updated and letting them know you're going off comms, you're back on comms, or however you want to announce it, is really useful, and then people know when they are and aren't going to be reachable. Apart from that, it was pretty smooth sailing. The sets generally just connected to each other automatically. There was no sort of troubleshooting or like fiddling around, scanning frequencies or anything like that. So I was really impressed with the sort of idiot proofness of them. One thing, I'm not too sure about is the build quality. I don't think this is necessarily unique to the Solidcom system. I think, after a year or so of use of these, chucking them in bags and throwing them around and also in dropping them and stuff, I'd maybe question how long they'll last for, but time will tell on that, I guess. In terms of range, we didn't really get too much chance to stress test these. We were all sort of in fairly close proximity or sort of down a corridor or something like that. There was one occasion when we did begin to experience some dropout on them. We were in a very large open plan office, and when different members of the team were in the extremes of that office building on the same floor, multiple rooms and walls in the way, then there was a bit of cutout. Overall, coming from a place of not really using a more advanced comm system and sort of relying on phones and stuff, I found the system really reliable. They really did improve our efficiency, allowed us to sort of get in touch with like the camera assistant to bring lenses or to start prepping for an interview that was coming up. One of the best bits I like about them is that you can start off small, maybe you just want 1 or 2 sets, and later on down the line you can just add further sets to your same system. If you are interested in buying them, then please consider, as always, using my affiliate links down below. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but of course it does provide me with a little bit of commission, and that just helps me support this channel. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I'm Ed Prosser, and until next time, see ya.